Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you some upcoming releases from July to December of 2018. So, as usual with these type of videos, I got my list of notes here so I can get through this video very quickly. Yeah, I have 20 books here that I was able to discover. And yeah, like always, these summaries are probably going to be ridiculously vague. I'm probably not going to give you a hell of a lot of information about them. The point is for me to just kind of introduce it to you, and if it piques your curiosity, your mission is to go get on Goodreads or something and figure out if it's something that you're interested in. So yeah, let's get going. Like I said, 20 books to get through. The first book I have here is Beast by Lisa Jensen. This is going to be released in July, and this is historical fantasy set in France, and it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which sounds awesome. And yeah, this is focused on a servant girl named Lucy, not Belle, and yeah, the master of Chateau Beaumont. I like that it's called Chateau Beaumont. And yeah, the master, he is cursed by a wise woman. And yeah, this sounds awesome, you guys. It's historical fantasy, Beauty and the Beast retelling. It just has it all. And I've previously read Elias Hook by Lisa Jensen, which was like a retelling of Peter Pan, but told through Captain Hook's point of view. So yeah, I definitely gotta get my hands on this. Next, Becoming Belle by Nuala O'Connor. This is going to be released in August. And this takes place in Victorian London in 1887, and it follows the real historical figure, Isabel Bilton, her rise from the middle class, from a middle class family to her role in high society as a countess. And I've never heard of this woman. It's about a real woman, but I've never heard of her. I have no idea who she is, but apparently she was very scandalous, I guess. But sounds interesting nonetheless. Next, Chariot on the Mountain by Jack Ford. This is going to be released in July. This is set 2 decades before the Civil War, and it's all kind of spawned by the death of this slave owner who ends up, because of the death of the slave owner, his wife is kind of forced into inheriting not only the slaves, but also inheriting his daughter, who is a slave herself. So yeah, very complex family narrative, it sounds like. Next, Fox by Nadine Brandes, and this is going to be released in July, and this is set in the 17th century in London. From what I gather, it's a historical fantasy retelling of the Gunpowder Plot. If you don't know anything about the Gunpowder Plot, it was this whole thing to kill the King of England, James I, when he was in Parliament, to essentially blow him up and Parliament up, which failed. That whole thing ended up failing if you know your history. And so this sounds pretty cool. When I was reading the description, I really liked kind of the fantasy elements of it. I'm not sure how historically accurate this thing is going to be. It's young adult. I have a feeling it's going to be horribly inaccurate, but I think it's still going to be weirdly enjoyable. Next, Mary B. by Catherine J. Chin, being released in July. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but focusing on Mary Bennet, you guys. You know, there's so many retellings of Pride and Prejudice, and yeah, a lot of it has Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet, and that's kind of it, you know. And poor Mary Bennet. Mary Bennet is the one Bennet that's kind of often ignored and forgotten. So that sounds kind of cool. Nightingale by Amy Lukovics. This is going to be released in October. This is set in 1951. It follows a 17-year-old girl named June, and she's forced to go to an asylum in order to make her a better young woman, according to her parents. So yeah, what I gather from the synopsis, it kind of sounds like June is kind of rebellious. She's kind of going against the grain, you know. She's a young woman in the 1950s. But yeah, her parents, who sound very conservative and very traditional, it sounds like they don't like that. So yeah, they send her to an asylum thinking, you know, this is going to fix her and make her better. So that sounds very, very compelling, I think. Next, Rust and Stardust by T. Greenwood, and this is going to be released in August. and this takes place in 1948, New Jersey, and it follows a 52-year-old man who assaults an 11-year-old girl, and there's a lot more to it that's kind of horrible and tragic, but essentially what this synopsis was getting to when I was reading about it, it's a true story actually that took place in the 1940s, and that it was essentially kind of the inspiration for Lolita. Next, The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton, being released in October, and this takes place in 1862 London. If I remember, I think a party. There's some sort of party going on, but by the time the party's over, a woman has been shot dead, another woman has gone missing, a priceless heirloom has been stolen. I wonder if it's a clock, because it's called The Clockmaker's Daughter. I wonder if a clock has been stolen, some sort of important clock. Yeah, and in the meantime, because of all this, a man's life is in ruins, essentially. All hell has broken loose in his life. And yeah, kind of in typical Kate Morton tradition, told kind of in a past-present sort of setting. So that sounds pretty awesome. The Dying of the Light by Robert Bullrick, being released in July. This is a very vague summary, you guys. I apologize. But yeah, essentially what this plot summary was boiling down to, it's a family scandal following a Southern family in the 20th century. That's kind of all I got for you guys. This one had a really... when I was on Goodreads, it wasn't really giving me much, and I can't sit and read the whole damn thing to you, but that's essentially what it boiled down to. Next, The Kennedy Debutante by Carrie Mayer, and this is going to be released in October. This takes place in London in 1938, and this is the story of Kathleen Kennedy, who was the sister of JFK. And this focuses on her life as a journalist, her being a society it girl, her marriage to a duke, and yeah, her involvements with the Red Cross. So yeah, a lot with this woman's life, which I found out was cut tragically short. The King's Witch by Tracy Borman. This is going to be released in July. Takes place in 1603. Queen Elizabeth has died. The intolerant King James I takes the throne. And a young woman is forced into court life by her ambitious uncle. And yeah, I think she is like a procurer of herbs and stuff. Like she deals with medicine, if I'm not mistaken, for what the synopsis said. So yeah, that's the title, The Witches, or The King's Witch, I should say. Maybe that's what it is. She kind of turns into a witch, almost. Or what was considered a witch back in the day. The Locksmith's Daughter by Karen Brooks. This is going to be released in July. This takes place in Elizabethan England, follows a young girl named Mallory Bright, who is recruited by spy master Francis Walsingham into a world of espionage. That sounds awesome. The Lost Carousel of Provence by Juliet Blackwell. This is going to be released in September. This takes place in 1900s France. A husband and a wife, they're struggling to keep their family estate going, and for some reason they recruit a man to build a huge, gigantic carousel. I'm not really quite sure why if they're falling on hard times, why are they creating a gigantic carousel? That's what I want to know. But yeah, so there's that. It takes place in the past right there, and then it kind of jumps forward into the present, and in the present day, a woman is searching for this mystical carousel that was lost during World War II. So yeah, we're going to get kind of a back and forth, you know, present day with a lot of past narrative thrown in there. Something about this carousel. You know, I should have looked some information up. Was this a real carousel? Was it really missing? Did the Nazis really steal this thing for whatever reason? I don't know. I should have done some research because that sounds really interesting. The Phantom Tree by Nicola Kornick. This is going to be released in August. This is some sort of historical time travel sort of thing. Kind of think Outlander, if you will. And it involves the daughter of Catherine Parr, who was presumed dead. I guess I need to give some information here because I'm being very vague here. Catherine Parr was the sixth and final wife of King Henry VIII. And when he died, Catherine Parr did remarry. She married, which Seymour was it? Was it Thomas Seymour? One of the Seymour brothers. Catherine Parr did marry a Seymour brother. And I believe she did have a baby, but the baby, I think, died in childbirth, and she died in childbirth as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think what this novel is exploring is that this daughter that supposedly did die, historically did not really die. Something like that. I don't know. It's very strange. I highly recommend reading the plot synopsis on Goodreads because I don't think I'm really giving it any justice, because you all are probably thinking, this sounds really stupid, but it sounded really interesting on Goodreads. I'm just not giving it any justice. But yes, something, a time travel element involving this presumed dead daughter of Catherine Parr. I don't know. The Rain Watcher by Tatiana de Rosnay, being released in October. This is a family drama set in Paris. A family is celebrating the 70th birthday of its patriarch, but kind of through this birthday, some secrets are unraveled. Some secrets and fears in this family that have kind of been hidden for decades, it sounds like. The Romanov Empress by C.W. Gortner, being released in July. You guys, I think this book, out of this entire list, this is my #1 book that I'm very, very excited about. That as soon as it's released, I'm running out to get it. This is the story of Maria, this is a Russian name, you guys. Pardon the pronunciation. Maria Feodorovna, mother of the last Tsar of Russia. Like I said, I think I just butchered her name quite horribly. You guys know I love Imperial Russia, especially the last Tsar and all the family stuff there. Yeah, this is about the mother of Tsar Nicholas II. So I'm going to assume this is going to take place when she's a young woman, when she becomes a mother. I'm also going to assume we're going to lead up to the execution of the Romanovs, and yeah, probably the aftermath of that, and her having to deal with the aftermath and kind of being one of the few survivors of the whole Romanov dynasty, essentially. But yeah, I'm most anticipating this book. I think it might make me cry. I'm going to love it. Next, The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, being released in September. This is essentially just a retelling of the Iliad told from the point of view of Briseis. And Briseis, she was you know, a lady in Troy, but then she was kidnapped by King Menelaus, or no, King Agamemnon. King Agamemnon. I have to slow that pronunciation down. She was kidnapped by that dude and kind of a concubine to Achilles, essentially. So, yeah, I love all things the Iliad. I think I'll definitely probably pick this up if I find it. Another book that I'm very excited about is this one, The Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel by Alyssa Palumbo, being released in October. And this is just a retelling of Sleepy Hollow, but told from the point of view of Katrina Van Tassel. I love the story of Sleepy Hollow. I love that crazy Johnny Depp movie as well, you guys. So yeah, after The Romanov Empress, I think The Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel is definitely going to be my next go-to book as well. The Subway Girls by Susie Orman Schnall, being released in July. Takes place in 1949 New York City. Charlotte is swept into the world of beauty contests, but an unforgivable act forces a heart-wrenching decision. This is another one of those books that there's a lot more on Goodreads, but this is kind of what I needed to boil it down to for the sake of this video. So that sounds pretty exciting. And last, The Summer Wives by Beatrice Williams, being released in July, taking place in 1951 Long Island, a novel of romance, murder, class, power, and dark secrets. Once again, you guys, I apologize for the very vague summary. This one, go to Goodreads once again. So that's it for all of these recommendations, you guys. I'm sorry that this video was probably very quick and very rapid. A lot of it, I didn't really give you a hell of a lot of information, but like I said, the point of this video is for you guys, if something kind of interests you, go check it out on Goodreads and see if it's your cup of tea or not. So you guys, in the comments below, are there any books that I've left out? Any upcoming releases that I forgot and I didn't happen to see or something? Just let me know so I can check them out. You know I love historical fiction. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.